As a natural charismatic leader, Ralph is the character whom we follow the most in Lord of the Flies, but as we know, it is not all smooth sailing for him. So where does it all go wrong and why? Let's start by looking at Ralph's leadership journey during the story, which tells us a lot about his character. Ralph is first introduced as an attractive, sensible, and good-natured character who is among the oldest of the boys stranded on the island. He has the build of a boxer, which gives him a powerful appearance, and along with Piggy, he finds and secures a large conch shell, which becomes a symbol of order and authority when he uses it to gather the first meeting of the survivors. The conch, and the fact that he had the sense to use it how he did, makes Ralph stand out from among the other boys, and gives him an edge over Jack during the election for leader. In fact, many of the boys reference the conch in their decisions, saying, "Him with the conch shell." Although he uses the conch to keep order in the camp, Ralph's style of leadership is democratic, as he lets others have their say during the meetings and emphasizes the importance of teamwork and the common good. That being said, he also understands the need for rules in order to maintain some semblance of a civilized society. His main goal as leader is to get everyone rescued, and he's initially able to inspire and lead the rest of the boys in pursuit of this mission by building a signal fire on the mountaintop. The assembly was lifted towards safety by his words. They liked and now respected him. As the story progresses, however, Ralph begins to face challenges which test his leadership, most notably his growing conflict with Jack, who has a much more authoritarian way of leading. In other words, it's his way or no one's way. Jack's obsession with hunting and gaining power contrast with Ralph's goals of rescue and maintaining order, and eventually even hinder them, as his hunters neglect the signal fire in favor of hunting a pig, leading to a crucial missed rescue opportunity. The problem is that Jack's violence and rejection of so-called civilized behavior is much more attractive to the group of boys than Ralph's emphasis on seemingly boring yet necessary tasks of building shelters and tending fires. This is made clear in Chapter 8, when Jack heads off to start his own tribe, and the boys begin to desert Ralph one by one. The rivalry between Ralph and Jack is one of the main sources of tension throughout the novel, as although at the beginning they smiled at each other with shy liking, it quickly becomes clear that there is only room for one of them on the island, as neither one will tolerate being anything less than leader. Comparing their two leadership styles highlights Ralph's strengths and weaknesses. Unlike Jack, he is able to think logically, although he is not as clever as Piggy, and formulate long-term plans that go beyond their immediate survival. However, his weaknesses also come out over time, in particular his indecision and naivety about the inherent evil in all humans. Because he cannot even imagine the things that Jack and the rest of the boys, including himself, are capable of, he is not able to prevent the deaths of Simon and Piggy and keep control over the group. Ralph is more than just a leader in this story, though. He represents order, civilization, and rationality. Lord of the Flies is a metaphor for the overall struggle of humanity against the allure of evil and violence, which are part of our primal nature. Because of Ralph's good qualities and sensible actions, he is easily likable as a character, and as readers, we want him, and by default, order and civilization, to triumph in the end. This is why his first priority as leader is to maintain the so-called civilized behavior the boys are used to, and is determined to create a stable and organized environment by building shelters, gathering drinking water, and most importantly, tending the signal fire. He frequently reminds the boys of the importance of these tasks, as they seem to forget quite often, saying, "The fire is the most important thing on the island. How can we ever be rescued except by luck if we don't keep a fire going?" Ralph's insistence on keeping this order and structure, even though it is clear that the boys are becoming more and more irresponsible, shows that he truly believes, rather naively, that rules in society are dominant over primal nature. Nevertheless, the boys begin to tap into their primal instincts, and Ralph himself is challenged by what he believes, as he too is tempted by his desire to free himself from his social constraints. When Jack and his hunters pretend that one of the boys is a pig, it starts to get out of hand, and even Ralph is carried away by a thick excitement. The desire to squeeze and hurt was overmastering. And of course, This incident only foreshadows what is to come later, when all the boys, including Ralph and Piggy, take part in a frenzied dance that leads to Simon's death. Ralph is the last person you would expect to be caught up in the violence, but the author includes this to show that even he, the hero and symbol of order, civilization, and rationality, is vulnerable to his instincts, allowing his primal urges to temporarily take control. However, unlike many of the other boys, Ralph shows terrible remorse for his actions and feels the need to take responsibility, insisting that was murder, despite Piggy's attempts to excuse them both. He is forced to confront the darkness within himself and realize that he is capable of things that he never thought possible now that he's free from the accountability of living in a civilized society. From that incident alone, we can see how much Ralph's character changes throughout the novel, but let's have a closer look to see exactly how he got there. One of the best ways to view the evolution of his character is through his friendship with Piggy. Ralph and Piggy find the conch shell together, but it is Ralph who has the confidence to blow it and the powerful physique which makes the other boys vote for him. Despite being put into a leadership position, Ralph is still a typical young boy, who has good qualities and bad ones, and is not above joining in making fun of Piggy, and even revealing his cruel nickname to the group when he had specifically been asked not to. Although he acknowledges that Piggy is probably the cleverest in the group, he uses his physical advantages to silence him when it is not convenient to hear his opinion, telling him to shut up or simply not defending him from Jack's constant bullying. He is also quite innocent and naive about their situation, which is evident by his initial reaction to the lack of adult supervision, as he is excited to have the freedom to lounge about and do whatever he wants. With childish enthusiasm, he says in Chapter 2, "This is our island. It's a good island. Until the grown-ups come to fetch us, we'll have fun." This statement shows his lack of understanding about the gravity of their situation. He thinks that the boys, including himself, will be able to play, eat fruit, and live in a carefree, adult-free environment while also adhering to the rules he has set up to help them maintain a comfortable existence and work towards being rescued. Unfortunately, he soon realizes that rules and a carefree existence cannot coexist, as he struggles to get the boys to do the tedious yet necessary tasks of building shelters and keeping the signal fire going. These leadership challenges, in addition to his conflicts with Jack and the increasingly wild behavior of the boys, force Ralph to mature very quickly, as he must take on almost all the responsibility for their rescue and survival. He soon becomes frustrated by their inability to carry out simple tasks, as well as his inability to keep them all in line and stop things from spiraling into chaos. Throughout these challenges, he comes to rely on Piggy more and more, and values his opinion and intelligence. What this shows about Ralph is that even though he is not perfect and has flaws, he is willing to grow and change his opinions, and this showcases his development as a character. By the end of the novel, however, Ralph is totally different from the boy he started out as, because the experiences on the island, and particularly the deaths of Simon and Piggy, slowly strip away his innocence and boyishness and force him to confront the harsh realities of human nature. The climax of the story is, of course, when he is hunted by Jack and the other boys across the island, reduced to a state of primal fear and desperation like an animal. At this moment, he wishes he had Piggy with him to talk sense to the other boys and make them understand that what they are doing is evil and illogical. He goes from being their respected leader to no better than the pigs they hunt, and this extreme transformation highlights how much his mindset has also changed. In a stroke of absolute crazy luck, Ralph runs straight into a naval officer who has been attracted to the island by the fires Jack set to flush him out of hiding, and the sudden realization that they are returning to reality and normal society overwhelms him with emotion. Ralph wept for the end of innocence, the darkness of man's heart, and the fall through the air of the true wise friend called Piggy. He has become totally disillusioned and is fully aware of the inherent evil within all humanity, even in those he once thought were his friends. This ending really shows the loss of the boy he once was, and the profound impact of the traumatic events on the island, which only really sink in now that they've been rescued. Ralph may not have died, but his innocence has, along with his ideal of decent, civilized society. So what do you think about Ralph's behavior on the island? Do you think he could have kept control of the group if he had done things differently? Or were they always destined to descend into violence and chaos? Let's discuss it in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for follow-up analysis videos soon to come. See you next time!